on Bank, as Ollie said. It was, what, a 7-3 for Furia last time they played?
Yeah, they also played it in the stage. Furia NIP last stage, it was played on Bank as well. And it was a 7-5 for NIP, hence why it actually got through in the best of three, because NIP had a bit of confidence on it, and Furia just did what they do in best of threes, and that is typically come away with a win. I mean, Furia lost to teams like ENX last stage. You know, I can't stress this enough, how like the regular stage is just such a lottery with them, and you never really know what you're going to get. NIP, are they going to have confidence coming into this, knowing that they've beat them in the regular stage last time on Bank, or are they going to be feeling a little bit uneasy, knowing that when it was in the playoffs and push really came to shove, Furia pulled it out of the bag? It really is anybody's. And I don't know if production knew the maps and knew like the true lore that has developed behind this game, but it is shaping up to be nearly match of the day worthy. I'll give it that. We'll see how the game goes, eh?
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, obviously, I think both these teams are quite good, so it has become, especially with how last stage panned out, has become one of my more anticipated matchups, where Furia and NIP would not have been the case about a year or so ago. So I definitely was looking forward to it anyway. And I would put it on the level, at least in terms of quality, as a FaZe Liquid could very well be. On Bank in particular, we'll start on the Lockers side, often the primary starting point. And we do have something a bit interesting. Nade picking the Blitz out the gate. Furia have been many things. A shield team is not normally one of them.
Yeah, Blitz slipping through the bans. NIP actually banning away a Twitch, which is you know, fairly niche in terms of general banning, but when you look at it in the context of Bank and you look at what you're going to be going up against, a Twitch drone, or a shock drone more specifically, can be a devastating piece of utility, especially when it is used well. So that getting taken away there from Furia and the toolkit that they are able to bring, it will mean that dealing with those Goyo Vulcan packs are a little bit more tricky. You're going to be having to get nades in there. Hence, we're seeing quite a heavy nade lineup. We've got 4 of them. We're also seeing quite a lot of pace here.
Oh.
That Blitz is being used to very quickly clear and already dropping into elevator.
You can see KZ as well coming in from the backside, but, well, both players on that elevator drop falter. 2 players down, but it's have to be a pretty big overperformance from KZ and JV92 to claw this one back. If you want to bet on any 2 players to do it, it would be these 2. KZ actually picking up a Herds mainstay, running that IQ 552 hollow. Will find the second. Probably glad he gave that one up, but unfortunately 2 is all he'll get for the moment. And JV is going to be in a really tricky spot if he tries to go pick his teammate back up. Final E1D, at least for the moment. Nade will go out to stave off the red swing. He's aware of the potential crossfire here. Nice little smoke. Could isolate the garage engagement, but instead he'll push deeper into the site and just barely misses. Hates his head sitting right beneath that desk. First round goes the way of NIP as Furia try to get a little pacey and get a little dead instead.
Strange rush, really. Typically you go for a gold rush. You can, of course, go for an elevator rush, as was demonstrated there, but I don't think that catching NIP off guard is going to be the order of the day, really. They're not looking to roam too heavily. You look at the lineup that they were bringing, it was very much let's sit in the site and play in the inherent advantages that we have down there. I'm not too sure how I feel about that, I'll be honest with you. Obviously, there's an advantage to, you know, just sort of hightailing it into the site, because that denial utility becomes a little bit less effective if you're really up close and personal and in the opponent's face. But it never really came to that. It was nipped in the bud very quickly. And as such, we will be moving on with our rotation here. Top floor we go. We're going to see a little bit of Denari as well. We saw quite a bit of Denari inside of NAL.
We did.
With the old trips. Got some good triangles.
A lot of geometry. We had a what do we have, Ollie? See if you remember the word.
It began with like an S or something, didn't it?
Well, we had a secant, but I don't think. Again, I'm not sure that was technically.
The jury's out on whether it was. The jury's still out.
The jury's still out if it was technically a secant. But we had a lot of crazy geometry going on. Mostly triangles, though. I don't know how many were isosceles, but certainly no equilateral. I'll tell you that much. Hurt's taking a long line at top square. Be careful. I think we see that Denari Wizard contemplating a little bit of a peek, but instead Herd's softened up through the soft wall of CEO. We'll have to be careful because putting an exothermic on this wall might be quite tricky, especially with the A-span, of course. That's just kind of the nature of things. But with the utility that Herd's picked, he'll have to get close on that panel to open anything up with those exothermics. Could find himself taking damage. Maybe an impact or C4 being thrown through. You're just spending some time for the moment getting information. Like the intro of the Ying, I mentioned, could have made last round a little bit easier, but Ying sends Demo seems like a sensible combo, and, well, certainly nobody's going to complain about finding that yokai.
And the Denari getting hacked as well. At least the yokai has been removed, as this is a fairly plant-orientated lineup. Obviously got the sense, and you got the Ying that speaks of an execute. I'm surprised to see how deep NIP are defending this site from. There's nobody actually operating inside of CEO. Instead, they're really just looking to play a little bit deeper from in and around Marble and the top of elevators. And that is giving quite a lot of space away to the attackers. However, Herds has found himself downed. The yokai drone will be calling that out as well as KZ gets stunned and backs off for a time. He's actually getting hunted downstairs as well and will be taken out. The attack falling around the minute mark right now. KZ Herd's almost certainly going to get finished off eventually. And there's only going to be so much that can be found from these windows.
It's unfortunate losing KZ as well, because JV92 hacked that Denari earlier. There obviously still a person there, but at least in terms of the utility, a little bit more of a gap over on main than there was before. And at least now, maybe you could two-man push CEO and send somebody up backside. But NIP have just not peaked all that much. They were progressively firing shots over at Herds because he had no cover to hide behind. But beyond that, NIP have just been waiting for Furia to come to them. Now Nade finds an opportunity, walks in, gets hates, backs out, reset in the final 25 seconds. Another spotted through the door. And now Furia seem to have pushed it wide open. Pino and Khan's able to make something happen. And on the 1v1, it's Nade who opened this up, and Nade who's got to close the book. Down player will spot him. Only 10 seconds left. Gets the information around the corner. Khan's quite low. This pistol doesn't do a lot of damage, but the Denari trips the wire stuck on the door, and that gives an easy 1v1 for Khan's to finish.
I think even without the trip on the door, the shotgun's pretty favorable in that position. Nade was trying to do a lot of work there to bring the round back for Furia. But ultimately, NIP, fantastic discipline here tonight. Zero overreaction to anything that's going on. They are just happy to set up and sit back. Take the hand off the keyboard and just chill out. Give it 30 seconds and see what happens. And not giving anything away. They know they can't afford to peak Furia. That's a fool's errand. And not making those mistakes. I'll be honest, I was a little bit skeptical. Obviously, you got the castle band, you got the smoke band, so a little bit of that denial has already been taken away. Some of the architecture ability on the defense has been taken away as well, and we didn't see an Azami being brought. We speak about Azami so often because it is so powerful. For example, if that round had been played out in North America with these bands, you would have almost certainly had an Azami playing inside of CEO. However, here, a lot deeper. NIP defended from way back, recognizing we can't risk it. Furia are a team that know exactly how to deal with that. They'll bring an Ash, they'll bring some DMRs, they'll bring a Flores, whatever it might be, and will instantly be a sitting duck. And instead, they're just happy to dig a little bit deeper and play from a tad further back, and it worked out exceptionally well for them there. So much so that we are on yet another site. Downstairs we go into open area. But we do get a little bit of Denari again, and this time a Mozzie. So quite a lot of flexibility really in this lineup. You look at the nuts and bolts of it, the utility. You've got the Sentry, and you've got a Mozzie, and even the Denari to a degree. You're leaving quite a lot on the table there of mainstay operators that you would normally try and play. The Azami, of course, falling into that category.
Of course.
But it looks like NIP are building a little bit of confidence right now.
It's the beginning of the season. I'm always willing to give teams a chance to try new things out, especially with a new operator coming in with a, pretty decent kit. Fancy definitely regretting playing as aggressively on that window. He'll back up. Loses the C4, but not his life. Better to cut your losses. Better to get off the train, go the opposite direction. But Herds is there for the cutoff. Denari at his feet. Will spot it. as Wizard falls on the opposite side of the roam. One player remaining inside of stock. Maybe the hatch open? Well, certainly not. Hates his head opened quite nicely by Herds. It seems like Furia, not at all daunted by their 2 previous losses, have mounted a very strong offensive in round 3. Pino wielding the new TCSG in the hands of Sentry. Not the new TCSG, just new to Sentry. Gets a kill with it, creates some holes in the process. Furia have time to reset a little bit. This Monty will track down the Sentry and relay that intel to the rest of the team. This variable's controlled, and it's only the other one that's in the wind. Khan's position is a little unknown at the moment. But again, Furia have time to figure this out. They have time to use those nades, use those smoke canisters, and the 3 candelas too. So Khans will look to this head hole. Might be able to find an angle. Ooh, Fellapok's getting a little silly with it. Almost loses his life, but now they found the second player. Be a bit more time wasting. Fellapok's moving to quite low HP as him and Pino both consolidate on the site.
Great use of popping that Vulcan canister. It's just bought a little bit of time right here for Collins. It's maybe not going to be as straightforward as it initially looked. A lot of time has been squandered here, and NIP have been able to get back to the site, more specifically Pino. Furia not able to split them up and break these engagements down. The Banshee's going to do great work in stopping that Monty from pushing through. Cons eventually overswings. It's all down to Pino.
TCSG packs a punch, but not a lot of ammunition. He's making good use of these Vulcan packs, though. That Monty being jostled around, but the guns are too strong. The angle's too... well, too strong, too. Let's just be honest. Let's not mince any words about it. Furia with a very, very strong round 3. Even though they faltered in the 2 previous ones, Ollie, it seemed like NIP's job of just remaining still, holding their angles, firing some shots when they felt they needed to, was working out pretty well. Furia able to recover, and now let's see if they decide to do another rush for lockers and CCTV.
I'll be honest, I'm a little bit annoyed about that last round from NIP, because what they'd done in the previous 2 was exceptional. They waited for Furia to come. They didn't have much of a choice in round 1, it was a rush round. But in round 2, especially, they showed great patience. Then the overconfidence just overwhelmed them in round 3. And all of a sudden we've got nobody on the site. Everyone's here, there, and everywhere. It's a big map. It's bank. Furia are great at opening picks. They're also fantastic at trades. So you're asking for trouble roaming against them, really. I questioned the lineup at the time, and I think it's valid to question it again in hindsight, because there was nothing. They didn't have a mute. There was Dokkaebi available. Like, you've got to be a little bit smarter about these things. And I don't think that just trying to waste time and play individual gunfights is the one, because Furia, they're going to suffocate you. And that's what we saw. Furia pick up their first round here. Back down to the basement we go then. We haven't got the Blitz this time, but we did have the Monty briefly. That'll be swapped out for a Ying. Likely, I would imagine the Blackbeard will stay with Nade. But I really don't think that we'll be going for another rush down either gold or elevator hatch.
You don't think so?
Instead, well, the Goyo's been banned now as well, so Furia have pretty much got free reign to do whatever they want. They can deal with the most complex of roam games and still have enough time. Smoke being banned out at the start of the game, that's bought a little bit of time for them throughout. Now the Goyo's gone, forced into something like a Tachanka. I mean, it's not like we're in NAL and we've got NJR kicking around, you know?
Nah, we don't. He'd have the craziest Shumika lineup you've ever seen. Interesting that we don't see the Cade brought next to the Tuber. Not necessarily a bad thing. It's just often kind of, especially when you're thinking about wasting time, especially when the Smoke and the Goyo are taken off the board. Makes sense sometimes to put the Cade on those hatches, Zoto behind them. But not really the option that NIP decide to go for. Khan sitting inside of E1 with Herds just around the corner. This player can be deceptively difficult. I've seen quite a few teams actually in SAL specifically get really focused on this player, but they just end up feeding them 1v1s, and with all the ammo that Khans has, you have to be careful, but he'll fall back. He's playing passive, also not overstaying his welcome. That was pretty much entirely a sight hold from NIP.
I'll be honest, I was a little bit surprised to see him up there. I was like, if that's the whole denial that is being brought here, we've got a couple of C4s, but time denial. You don't really want to see it playing in elevators upstairs. However, he's dropped back. He's gotten away with it. Tubrow is more so just going to be an annoyance right now for JV92. he will be able to get this hatch open. It's going to cost him a little bit more of his blowtorch and certainly a bit more time. But time is something that Furia have. There's a minute on the clock. There are the Shumikas to get through, so it's not like there's nothing that's going to slow them down. But that relies on people lining up shots, more specifically cons. Unsure if Wizard does actually still have 2 of the yokais as well, so Denial not looking as bad as it might have initially. It would have been nice to get at least one of those yokais down. Cons can just gently trickle these Shumika launches in toward that breach. And we're going to be looking for something to happen here right now. Furia need either a push in from one of the hatches, gold, or elevators. If JV92 hanging around that area, no one inside a garage. But they're desperately needing a backstab right now.
You'd almost like to see maybe the Blackbeard or the Candelas go on the opposite side. Instead, they're trying to use this shield for the cover. He'll put it on his back to put this case down, but there's just been a steady stream of Shumikas landing. C4 now pre-placed, and it gets shot, I think, out of midair. You might be basing the round off that, but boy, did it work out. Fancy even blows up Pino in the process. KZ somehow gone deep, might have been the one to shoot that C4 out of the air. Cons will put him in the dirt, same with Herds joining his co-MVP from a year and a half ago. But it's still Furia with the better angles in the post. JV92 retreating back upstairs, joining Fellapox on these hatches. Nade's always in a difficult position. Shield in the 1vx, but he's got the gun up. We'll find him. Kiba in the way, though. They gotta go down. Cons is defusing it. Cons is counter-defusing! Furia and NIP get a little too close to that objective, and NIP with their 3rd defense.
Brilliant use of kit there to enable the defuse to go off. We had the Tuberow's auto canister. We had a Kiba barricade used as well. Perfect timing. To be honest, I was disappointed in NIP that they let the plant go down in the first place. They had C4s. Yep, you can't account for a C4 getting shot out of midair. That's fine. You've got the Shumikas. There is only so much that they can do. I understand that. There was 2 yokai drones left. And Wizard, he still had a yokai drone upstairs in CCTV. Now, I'm not sure if that was... Oh, sorry, downstairs in CCTV, so he could have denied the plant with that. I'm pretty sure that he flicked onto one and sent out a shockwave, but it was a little bit too late. At that point, the plant had already gone down. I don't know if there's a bit of confusion in the comms or something, but I guess that the retake makes up for it, because they still had some utility that they hadn't used to stop the plant going down to enable them to get the disable onto the diffuser. And if they had used it all and it had still gone down anyway, they wouldn't have been able to do that. Very unusual as well, by the way, for Furia or any team to lose a post plant on that bomb site. It's one of the best post plants that you can get in the whole game. Typically, it requires multiple defenders going upstairs to retake to try and deal with the players watching down the hatch. We didn't really see that. Instead, we just saw a good focused attempt. Somebody getting on the kit nice and early, and there still being a lot of distraction and a lot of utility thrown around it to cause enough of a distraction. NIP doing a great job at salvaging the round there. But Furia, I'm not going to say that they looked in massive control, because I was still surprised they got the plan down, but they did a great job of making it happen, and it's very unusual to not see them hold on to it.
And certainly in a situation right now where NIP could begin to run away with the game. They've been looking very good on these defenses, and I want to put a big asterisk on what I just said. NIP's attacks have always been a bit strange. Fox put it very well on the desk. When they get the entry, they look lights out. When they don't, they can look downright confusing sometimes. But as long as they get the entry, don't even have to worry about that second problem. But of course, if Furia end up fighting back, we'll need to see NIP mounting some good adaptations and recoveries. That's a later problem. Right now, just run at the score. You're up 3-1. You got around that. Not going to say you shouldn't have got, but you just managed to slip by all of those attacking teams. Now JV92 might just slip up through this elevator hatch with the player on cam. Gara hooks in, stabs him in the back. Immediate elevator control established. Another one down the hallway. SMG-11, not the greatest gun for that engagement, but that's fine. JV92 gets away and joins Fellapox. The Monty on top of main stairs. Fancy softened up, then finished off. So Furia with another 2-body lead as they start taking full control of the site. Monty pushing in deep, not have the diffuser. That's Nade with the kit in his back pocket on the window. All the guns inside the building at the moment are just to provide support, to secure control, and then once all of that is established, then Nade can repel in and put this diffuser down. But I've settled that up, and the round's going to end before Nade even gets off repel, as NIP tried to retake, and Furia shut them down at every turn.
Such a good example of Furia recognizing exactly what made NIP successful in round number 2 and doing a brilliant job to counter it. We spoke at length about NIP's want and need and success of holding CEO upstairs from a lot deeper, playing in and around marble stairs, inside of elevator, in stock, and in janitor. What do we see happen? We see far less presence on the rappel. Nade, one of the only players that was actually on the rappel for the duration of the round, where previously we'd seen multiple. There was nothing towards square stairs, because that's where Herds had tried to, and failed to make an approach because of how much NIP had invested into that deeper defensive setup. So what do they do instead? Gara hook straight up elevators, Monty up main stairs, catch the player on cams. I mean, you can't bank on catching the player on cams, but you know that he's not going to be expecting you, because NIP are expecting this slow and steady war of attrition, trying to get a pick, trying to find something through the through the windows. Didn't happen. Furia immediately switched up the pace and responded very well. NIP trying to do the same thing again that they did in round 2, and it not being successful. A much better way to deal with that problem, and impressive from Furia that they were able to figure it out so quickly and effectively.
I have enjoyed seeing the Denari usage from, I mean, I enjoy seeing it in general, but I have enjoyed seeing it from NIP so far, putting a lot of focus on this stock and janitor position. Every single time they've either defended CEO or open area, they've brought a Denari, and at least half of his utility has been placed along this hallway and on these windows. We also had one over by main stairs. It's clearly a focus on just making sure that of all the many gaps and angles that Furia could theoretically go for a backstab or go for a walk up, Herds is going to have a little bit more tricky of a time if you might trip a wire over on main stairs, which even after getting a kill, he almost did back in round 3. It was a round that Furia won, though. He's not on IQ this time. He's on the Flores, and it's a lot more utility-focused from Furia at the moment. And with all those changes, it's still Fellapox walking up main with this Monty shield in hand.
Despite the lack of success in the previous attempt at round 3, again, it's a similar lineup, isn't it? I think Cons has switched out for the mute this time, which I like a lot more. Gives you a little bit more surety. There isn't a Dokkaebi, but you can at least block some of the electronics that are going to be headed your way from the attackers. Great value being found out on the drone here as well. And interestingly, the drone isn't shot. Trying to just find a horrible angle on the upside down rappel, trying to look through horizontal rafters. Never going to end too well, and it looks as though for a time at least Pino is going to be safe there, but Herds on the copy window. He's going to kick things off with not 1 but 2. Takes Pino out. He wasn't found vertically, instead just directly through the site. It's going to start the same way as round 3 with 2 very nice opening picks here for Furia. And again, it should just be tapping it into the back of the net from here.
Oh, no. I mean, yeah, that's just an easy pre-fire for JV92. Bit of a strange collapse for NIP on their final defense. 2 players getting antsy, feed themselves to Herds. 1 player is spotted directly in front of a drone, just gets pre-fired by JV. Herds spotted the next one on bottom square, sees him. Neither player taking some damage. But that's not the only one left. Herds has got the immediate info. If they want, they could go for this defuse plant. They could charge this guy. Now, it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B for Furia. It all works out quite well. Only a 3-3 half, but a flawless for Furia to finish things off. Seemed like a bit dire at round 4. And if you only watch round 5 and 6, you think this was a dominant Furia half.
You really would. They've warmed up quite nicely into it, haven't they? I think you can almost sort of rub off round 1 and think if Furia had played round 1, I don't want to say properly, but in a fashion that wasn't a rush round, could be sat here at a 4-2 quite easily indeed. However, a 3-3 half is what we have. Zami and Grim first 2 to be removed. Just have a quick check and see, obviously, in the last time that they played during the stage, what the split was. I know that it was a game that was won quite handily back in the playoffs.
Which game?
This very game in stage 1. Furia managed 2 defenses, 3 attacks, so a similar split. 3-3 on the half with NIP on the defense and Furia on the attack, and it was NIP that really excelled on their own attacks previously when we saw these two play last stage on this very map. So we would expect that NIP have got what it takes here, and that 3-3 half is something that they are quite happy with. Some very different bans on the board though, both a Grim and a Ying. Often we'll see one or the other band as well as a shield, but in this instance it is both of them removed. So a full complement of hard breach available, a full complement of shields. NIP have got a lot of tools to play with right now.
They do, but it is just good counterplay from Furia. NIP run the Ying and the Grim a lot on their bank attacks. We've seen teams actually counter-strike their Ying usage last stage, not banning the Ying, but like putting a lot of ADSs in gold or in red, when Wizard would throw the Candelas down and they would go for their rushes on basement. So it's just Furia also being good on their homework and taking good operators generally, but also operators that NIP use quite frequently on their attacking side. To reiterate what Fox said on the desk, and also I think to reiterate if you've been watching NIP, something that was an unfortunate trend we saw last stage is when they're good, but if they struggle to get those entries, or if there's a setup they can't quite figure out, NIP often just can devolve into hopping in through windows, making very individual plays. It can be a pretty rapid collapse on the attack if they don't get an immediate entry point or an easy solution into the round. But you would expect. IGL changes, roster changes, these things happen. You do got to be careful, especially as you have a little bit of a puzzle put in your way. Castle barricades around open area, a little bit of a roam, then also a lot of utility on the site. Vulcans, Shumikas, and smoke canisters. Oh, sorry, no castles. I don't want to talk about. I saw a barricade. My bad. But either way, still a lot of utility on the site you're going to have to worry about.
Everything. Fenrir's,
Yokais.
The Yokais is super heavy time denial.
Thank God we don't have C4s.
It doesn't really play too well into the hands of NIP at the moment either. You look at the kit that they've got 4 tin openers. One of the hatches inside of open was opened by the defenders. The tin openers are far from ideal when you're looking toward a server room execute. You're not going to get a great sort of walk through. You're going to get a bit of a hop through. You might get a crouch through. A lot depends on how it and where it's placed. But if anyone's ever played a first-person shooter and you walk through a door and then you don't move and try and walk directly backwards, the door always moves. So bigger is almost certainly better, especially when opening that breach, trying to get a plant in, and especially when there is so much to try and bait out right now. You're going to want to dance through that threshold quite a lot. Fancy going to send out a smoke and see if there's anything that he can find here on the glass. Dokubi call comes in as well.
Oh!
And this is where the denials start to come through. Big kill there, opening things up onto Nade.
Massive kill right there. The smokes might be going long. Indeed, they are going long. Contemplating in the off spot has switched up things on Furia and completely thrown the defense for a loop. Fancy can hold this long angle, Cons can play close, and the other 3 can all hold on the top floor, just destroying that yokai for good measure. But Fellapox is gun up, trying to mount this retake. Cons definitely in the worst position there, as the shotgun and the MP5 close in on his position. It's just a 2v2. Both defenders low. A lot of time spent, but Furia can hit their shots. They can make miracles happen, but no, Hates will just creep around the corner. And Furia are running around that diffuser without a care in the world. First round goes to the Ninjas with a very well-coordinated execute on basement.
I always find it quite comical that that's considered an off-plant, like the second default plant spot, because of how easy it is to hold from upstairs. You could see as soon as he swings there, he's just got plain view of not only the defender disabling the diffuser, but also the one that's trying to do a bit of body blocking and just make sure that all the angles are covered and stuff. Brilliant plant from NIP. Just goes to show, you can have as much denial as you like, but if it isn't placed in the right spot, it doesn't matter a single bit. There was even 1 smoke canister left in the pockets of Furia there as that plant had gone down. Always a bit of a clue when nothing really stops, or your yokai drone should be really there to give a little bit of info as to, like, it's a long plant, it's a short plant. You kind of need to know where that diffuser's going down if the idea is going to be, we're going to deny it and we're going to rinse them of the time. And Furia failing to do just that. Not going to reattempt downstairs. They're going to stick to their rotation and take us up to this top floor. But for a game that has shifted quite a lot in terms of momentum, with Furia coming back, it's fair to say, in the latter half of their attack, it's nice to see NIP respond instantly with a round of their own. And you do feel like they are on the front foot right now in this fixture.
Momentum in their columns, certainly after the attack, even if it took a long time to get to that XQ, which NIP have taken a long time before, and usually they don't look that good. You could clearly see the vision and clearly see how all the pieces were put in the right spot, what was meant to counter what, who was going where. So it's kind of like an old NIP slow attack, and yet you actually could very clearly see what the intention was, and the intention was followed through very nicely by NIP. So moving up to CEO, we'll see a shield brought out just like before, but no fuse this time. It'll be Fancy on the blitz. Have to say, don't know if I'm necessarily a fan of giving Fancy a shield instead of a gun, but I will withhold judgment until I see what happens after this util clear in the early game.
I think he'll probably be a bit of a beast with it, won't he?
He could.
He's young. He strikes me as one of those players that's just going to be annoyingly good with most things. But I would agree. I would like to see him with an AR in his hand. And IP are stalling out a little bit here. Commented that with the Grim and the Ying ban, there are a lot of tools open, and they're bringing those tools, bringing 2 shields.
Oh.
They're going to be flooding through this top floor. They're not wasting any time.
No, Fancy just immediately going in. Oh my god, he was literally on the Wamai the whole time. Unfortunately, the other shield pushing main stairs goes down. Blitz meant to distract, and the Monty on the backside, but unfortunately, I think both players from NIP are a little too separate. Now, Pino downed on the rappel. Maybe not the most well put together attack. And it comes after what seemed to be a very, very solid execute. Hurds in his spot on his operator to finish things out. This man, for 2 years now, has loved his Mira in Janitor, and you're not pushing him out of it today.
Teams and shields and rush rounds. Like, how often do we actually see it work?
Well, okay. Well, that makes it sound like we don't really see it work all that often. I'd say it's like a solid like 50-50. Just because we see the shield rush so frequently, it's probably just evens out to about coin flip in the long run. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I would agree. I can think of 3 off the top of my head that we've seen in the last couple of days. I'm counting NAL in that as well.
That M81? Woo!
Yeah, that was a good one.
On the flip side?
No, in fact, 4. There's 4, isn't there? Because there was the forest one as well.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. What was
so
the other one?
We're at 25%. We're at 25% out of, and then that's not accurate. That's just what I can remember. There may have been another, but it isn't very high. Let's be honest. 1 out of 4 has actually worked.
The issue with shield rushes is it's just such a tantalizing prospect. You're like, oh, we're gonna run in with the shield, and they're gonna we're gonna catch them off guard.
Do you not think it sounds so good as well? It's like, we'll do a shield rush this round. Oh, I'll play the Monty, you play the Blitz. Brilliant.
And everybody's getting excited. Everybody's getting hyped.
Everybody gets behind it. There's always someone that's like, I'll play the Lion. I'll play the Dokubi.
Or in Hate's case, I'll play the Flores.
Yeah, the old backup Flores. We love that. Just so that we can pivot in something a little bit more traditional.
The old SR25 Flores pick for the shield run. I'm not. By the way, just to be clear, I'm not saying that's a bad pick from Hayes. It's just, it was a good pick. It's just, in this context, it's fine.
All level again then, 4-4. This is one of the reasons why we saw the Twitch band, by the way. Look at the value that Cons is able to extract from that shock drone. Removing some of Denari's trips, removing the default cameras. Even got mirror windows in his sight this round. We'll also have the Grismots. Hates. Sending quite a lot through there. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of early aggression on that copy window. It's going to be Fancy first to fall on the Deimos. not ideal for the information gathering right now on the side of NIP and Furia. They are putting their foot down at the moment.
JV92 is 9-4. Him and Herds doing quite well in these past couple rounds. Not anymore, unfortunately. Goodbye, Herds. 3K in round 8, 0 in round 9. So we won't complain too much. It's a JV92 game at the moment, as NIP let their foot off the gas and take a look at the map to see where the hell they want to put this diffuser down. KZ, Nate, and JV, all on low, or on reduced HP, I should say. JV has a barb in the pocket. That's not going to do anything, but, you know, it's, in case anybody was interested in keeping score. The bigger issue, though, is how they're going to find a way through this. Because I was going to say, you need to try to work a pick in a mid-game like this, and they will find one. Pino opens up a hole with the Selma. And down goes Nade. There's still a little bit more time to find information. An air jab to control this swing as well. So Fellapox can't push up Marble like he would have before. Now we see some consolidation from NIP. Wizard moving over to the square side. Joining Pino, but where is Khan's going to go? With that diffuser, he'll join them. But right as they go to move, JV swings. Puts another on the ground. Wizard finally puts the end to that. But NIP again struggling to recover. Pino does such good work. And Furia continue winning every fight. KZ a double to finish things off. As Furia take the lead for the first time this game.
JV92 and KZ there with a big round. 2 kills apiece. IP didn't have an answer to the old flank downstairs. I was just waiting for Felipox to honestly walk up blue and just ruin the whole thing. See, he was sort of cut off by the air jabs, and it was almost funneling him into what would have ended up being the wrong direction for NIP. Good time for a timeout. Furia are really on the precipice of this fixture being done and dusted, but it's been so back and forth throughout the whole thing. I wouldn't be surprised to see an OT, I'll be honest. I think NIP, if they're able to stabilize themselves just a little bit here, ahead of going back down to what I imagine will be lockers. I imagine we'll be going down there again.
Probably.
But let's be honest, Furia should have stopped that plant from going down in the first place. So maybe NIP not entirely happy with how it went and are looking to make some adaptations based on round 7. Look to make some improvements. But they're going to have to start finding a little bit of success here. They're not going to be able to win this game off the back of only being able to win one bomb site. They need to break that deadlock in either upstairs or, if we get that far, into open area again. Will be lockers for round 10. It's going to be a fairly similar lineup for the side of NIP, but a little bit different on that Furia side. Whereas before we saw Vulcan packs, smoke canisters, and the Tachanka, and an Echo. This time we've only got the Tachanka. Got a bit more information. I like the addition of the Warden. That is coming at a very timely moment, given that Wizard this time is looking to pick onto Ascends. And with Fancy having the want and need of playing the glass in the previous attempt of this site, the Warden is going to be a very good tool against both of those things.
5 seconds left before insertion. Attackers are moving out.
The Sens and the Glass for NIP. Do you think... No, I mean, obviously we have the Warden to look through the smoke and look through those ROU projectors. But NIP doubling down on this style of attack, even though, obviously, there's a very logical response from Furia. Fellapox also, I think, paying a little bit more attention to the upstairs position than he was last time. As Furia, because of all that utility that we talked about earlier, I mean, the Goyo, the Tachanka, as Ollie mentioned, is not as much you can bet on just holding things on the site through utility. So it makes sense to play a little bit earlier on. It'll be another slow one for NIP as Furia have some around main lobby, have some around blue. But not in immediate positions to fall back. JV92 will have to get back to open area. But for the moment, he and Nade will be on this middle floor. 4 people, might I add.
Furia really looking to bring it to NIP right now. I kind of like that from them. Waste a little bit of time. Haven't held on to open for too long. They have since dropped off. Nade as well.
There we go.
He is the key player here with the utility, so really can't afford to be sticking around for too long. But for NIP, they know this. They know it's just a case of showing a little bit of presence, and then the map control will be theirs. Looks from the way that they're shaping up, though, that it could be more of a gold drop. I think that JV92's spider senses are tingling with that as well as he deactivates and reactivates a few F-Knots more toward that direction. Herd's on these blue stairs. Always a really difficult task to play blue, and well, he's kind of playing it naked right now. It's not as if he's got ADS as a shield or even the shotgun of a smoke. He's just playing it as the Warden. Really does need to be cautious. Cons knows that he's there and is just in a little bit of a stalemate right now, waiting to see if he will make a mistake. But Herds knows much better than that. KZ will be the first blow. Not entirely sure where Fancy's found that one from. Through Garage, potentially.
Oh. Through Garage, he's found one. Hates gets JV next. Herds has been holding blue the whole time, and he might not have a site to fall back to, as it's being hollowed out by Ninjas in Pyjamas through the smoke. Hates puts a few shots into Fellapox, and well, that man's no more. Still hold the advantage, but Nate's trying his best to stave off the rush. Run through the ROUs. Hates puts it down. It is no CC plant. They just run into lockers, down main stairs, and a forced Furia into the post. He's come back, and indeed, all is lost. NIP tie it again as nobody can get a lead in what might certainly end up being the match of the day.
Not a lot separating these two at the moment. 5-5. I floated the idea of an overtime a little bit earlier, and it's looking more and more like a possibility. NIP have won twice now downstairs in lockers, but they need to pick up a win elsewhere if they want to take this game. Guarantee themselves some points. And really live up to this being a bit of a new age El Clasico.
All right, we don't have time for that debate. We don't even have time to get into that.
No, we could have a new one and an old one. I think it's an age thing. I'm going to be honest with you.
So
I think you're too young to appreciate
funny.
the...
I was thinking the same thing. I actually was thinking the same thing earlier.
It's true. It's a generational thing, which is the first time that I'm coming across this. Well, I guess I'm getting to that age now.
Yeah, because for me, it's like... I mean, obviously, I would say Liquid were the first, like, Brazilian team I was a big fan of. So it's not like you say FaZe Liquid or the El Clasico, and I'm like, what is this guy talking about? Like, I kind of genuinely, like, know the argument. But for me, like, especially once I started, like, kind of working consistently, it was like, it was 2022 where W7 were on the come up, and then 2023 where they were the team. And then when, at least for me, I always wanted to see a FaZe Furia international match, then I finally did, and it was the greatest match in the history of the game. And from that point, of course, to me, it was the El Clasico. Whereas, like, you say FaZe Liquid, and I'm like, well, which Liquid? They've got, like, 2 new players. Like, 4 new players at this point.
It is subjective. It really is.
I'm always a bit more of a, I always focus a bit more on the roster than the org. That's just the way I am.
Yeah, I think there's different ways of doing it, isn't there?
There's levels
when we're talking about teams and games, I try and be quite roster focused. But when it's like overarching, like, I feel like there is a time and a place for org to come in.
I agree. And talking about orgs, even if NIP end up losing this, the fact that they can be this competitive and against really good teams and even beat a lot of the teams they should at such dominant margins like yesterday. NIP have been struggling to live up to that legacy that was set almost 6 years ago now in February. Struggling for a long time since then, even, of course, winning SI 2021 almost 5 years ago. And now it seems like they might finally start have a roster coming together. Even a close loss against Furia, nobody's going to complain about that. Fortunately for them, Hates will go down early to a C4. Actually, no, go down late. It's past the halfway point of the round, as it's another very slow one from NIP. This is the one issue we've seen, is when they can't find an easy way in, when they don't get that opening pick, it is often a struggle to break through the hold and to find a way into the site. The main good one we've seen so far. Sure, we just saw NIP win, and it was a good call. But the other one was Fancy, getting that kill on the Tachanka as Glaz. Everything else has been Furia, just locking them out entirely. And the 4v4, you've got Nade, who can activate those Evil Eyes down below. As Pino goes in, begins to put that diffuser down. There's plenty of players on Overwatch. Can they hold? Can they push deeper? They get the kills, but it's still disadvantaged. And it's all Pino left. And with one shot, JV puts the gun to his head, presses one single shot on his mouse, and puts Furia on map point.
I feel like there was like 3 people stood in that cloud of smoke there, just brushing shoulders with one another.
The entire lobby walked through that smoke at various points in that late round.
I feel like the observer was there as well. There was definitely just a bystander. It was like, there was definitely someone that wasn't on an IP or Furia just chilling in that smoke, then just being like, yeah, I'm just vibing. I'm just going to stay here for a little while. I'm really surprised that they went for that, I'll be honest. And I think it speaks of them being maybe a little bit desperate to try and make something happen. The positioning wasn't fantastic. I don't think they'd done enough groundwork. And Furia knew that, really. They knew that they could just sort of force the clock and force a plant, and essentially a plant would have been a bit of a mistake. Furia guarantee themselves points here. The next round will decide if they walk away with a full 3 or if they are going to be getting some consolation points inside of an overtime or not. Obviously, they were successful yesterday in their first fixture, walking away with a full 3 points against Loss, a nice 7-2 win. And IP as well with a 7-3 win against Black Dragons. So, in terms of starts for the stage, both of these two teams can hold their heads pretty high, but another 3 points would really be the icing on the cake for week 1. And Fury are going to be going back down to open area. And IP have struggled to win anywhere on attack that hasn't been lockers, which is in some ways a little bit strange because lockers can be a very difficult site to attack. But at the moment, we are seriously experiencing that slow lull just after the start of the round, that if an opening pick or even 2 kills aren't found early, it usually spells a little bit of disaster. Yeah. Let's try and dial into that and get a bit more map control this time. They're going to be forced into taking that top floor. Furia know that, hence the information that has been brought. Valkyrie cameras forcing the IQ. Got some Mozzie pests to steal out any drones, and a couple of C4s to boot. It isn't going to be an easy take of that top floor by any stretch.
No, especially Herds gets his Mira. Often teams will ban Mira against Herds on this map because of how much he likes to play janitor behind that Mira window setup. He's so good at it. I mean, he's been doing it at the top of the world. For 2 years he's been playing the spot. Now in open area, he gets to bob and weave around those angles. Sure, it's a known quantity, but it's an entirely different thing dealing with it. And I don't envy NIP as they try to break through. He actually might just be the only one on that top floor at the moment. As you see 4 down below. Monty pushing up. No, Herds is backed off with half the round in. No need to play out there that long. Instead, it's a primarily and almost entirely lateral hold for Furia. Holding Tellers, Archives, and Felipox dropping down. Likely to go for a blue flank later on.
KZ just going to be chilling at the moment inside of Tellers. Cons was going to go for a bit of a walk upstairs, but thinks better of it. He's going to need to do some clearing in that mid portion, but he's on his own at the moment, and it worries me a little bit. Malusi Gadget on the wall as well, so the Banshee will slow him down. That position known. Oh, and slips the net. Wizard really ought to be there for that catch. Has Cons gone too early, or has Wizard been a little bit too lackadaisical? Either way, it's resulted in a player being allowed to slip back into sight and pick up an opener onto Pino. No hard breach now spells disaster for this site.
3v5 almost certainly spells doom too. Though Fancy takes down the 15-7 Menace in JV92. But they're slowing down, they're stalling out, they're getting shot to bits outside of open area. Cons with the pistol will find 2. And Wizard knows that Felipox is there, or at least has an idea. He dropped down so long ago, hears the noise over by Marble. So it's the initial bait. Felipox has got to be careful. Beepers gives away the position, but Wizard sticks. Gun up as well. Felipox sprinting in his face. Wizard, come on! You've got to win this! You're right there! Nerves completely shot by the end of round 12 as Furia close out Bank in regulation.